Welcome back to What Arty Noobs for General Disturbance. This is the M18 Hellcat, the Tier 6 American turreted tank destroyer. It's located on the south spawn of Steps, and this one is under the command of Ohforfoxache. Yes, I know, it's that name again. Yes, it's quite a good one, isn't it?
Let's go.
Game on. Well, I do believe he's got the 90mm gun, and the reason I think he's got it is because of the muzzle brake. Let's have a quick look. Yep, he has got the 90mm, 240 Alpha, 160mm a pen with the standard rounds, and with the premium rounds it's 243. The only drawback actually with having this particular gun is that you actually get quite a long reload time, and that can be a bit of a problem. The standard reload is 7.36 seconds, and you can see Ohforfoxache has got 7.05, but he's got a very good firing position to fire from, and he's got an artillery in the just behind him, actually trying to shoot, just alongside him. That might invite enemy fire in this direction. Let's hope the enemy doesn't spot the tracer coming out. He's actually also got a platoon mate in this game. It's Cowboy 1980, and he's moved further up in the T-3485 to do some spotting. That was the Arty firing alongside us. Bit loud, but kind of reassuring in a way. There hasn't been many enemy tanks spotted coming down the east side of the map. Only a P-43B so far, but he's out of view range. Now, as you know, only one Hellcat actually ended up with the 90mm gun, and that was back in America, back in the good old USA. They tested one vehicle out with a 90mm gun to see if it could actually take it. Most of the Hellcats were actually built during the war, actually had a 76mm gun. 2,507 were built between 1942 and 1944. They were actually, between July of 1943, I should say, and 1944. The development started in 1942. Now, originally it started with a 3-inch gun, which is the M7, which is a Tier 5 gun. That's also 76mm in caliber, but it's not as good as the M1A1 gun or the M1A2 gun, which are both Tier 6 guns. And the enemy is now coming into view, and the first one we see actually is the Super Hellcat. Now that's the premium version of the same vehicle, and we've loaded an APCR. Now we don't need an APCR, we could probably make do with just standard ammo on that thing, because it doesn't have much in the way of our armour. There's not much armour on this Hellcat either, for that matter. The best armour you've got on the vehicle is the front of the turret, which has got 76.2mm, and the sides of the turret are only 31.8mm. The rest of the vehicle is only 12.7mm. That's just enough to stop the bullets and the shell fragments. It's not enough really to stop a gigantic shell or a large caliber shell, or even anything of the same caliber. Now it's got torsion bar suspension. Normally they carry 45 rounds of 76mm ammo, but in this game you only get 30 rounds, and that kind of crimps your style, because there's not much damage you can actually do to the enemy when you've only got that number of rounds. Unfortunately, whilst I've been jabbering on, we lost Cowboy 1980. He was taken out by the enemy, and we think that the enemy is probably up on top of that hill by now. In fact, we're marking that spot. In fact, our Arty is marking that spot at the moment. So we're relying on the Hellcat's view range to actually tell us where the enemy is. It does have 370 meters of view range, so you should be able to spot anyone just up on top of that hill. And we do have the Super Hellcat a bit closer to the enemy, so he's probably got better view than we have. Just waiting for them to come in sight. Now, it's the fastest tracked vehicle in World War II. Top speed 72 kilometers an hour, buzzes around the battlefield really quickly. It's actually made by General Motors under their Buick name in the Buick factory. And there's still a lot of them on sale, even though it was such a long time ago and they only built 2,507. It's not that many if you compare it to the M10. Oh, here we go. Oh, fantastic shot. Wiped out the P-43 biz 1 round. But he pulled back into cover quickly because he was spotted now. Or was he? Sixth Sense didn't go off. There is an enemy Arty. It's an M44. He might decide to fire in this direction, and we've got another target. It's... Oh, that was a good shot as well. He hit the Fox tank for 266, which is a low roll. And he got the kill shot as well. So that's 2 kills now. Both nicely aimed as well. He got the weak casing on the side of the vehicle. A lot of players, if they see the thing from the front, they'll still blast away. But, oh, Super Hellcat just missed out on the kill there. And he went down the slope there, but suddenly changed his mind and thought, no, I'll go the other way. It's a bit exposed. Plus, of course, there's a rock you have to jump over. And that's not so great. E25, auto aimed on. And he gets another hit. This time a high roll. 328. So he's starting to collect the damage. Now, one of the great things about the Hellcat is that it actually had an engine on a kind of slide arrangement where you can actually disconnect the transmission and slide the engine out so you can do maintenance in the field. And that made a big difference because a vehicle like this could be serviced in the field to keep it in tip-top condition, and the drivers would do that. If you ever watched the video, or I think it's online actually, Saints and Sinners, the Battle of the Bulge, it's a video about a Hellcat crew fighting against a Panzer Mark IV. And in fact, actually, that film had as one of its advisors the Chieftain. Yeah, Nick Moran was the advisor for the film, and he would actually tell the crews exactly what they needed to know. As you know, Nick Moran is a serving officer in the National Guard. He's a lieutenant colonel. Normally, of course, he drives M1A1 Abrams, so he's actually driving something much bigger. And of course, he is an expert on World War II. He's been helping out Perun on the Perun channel. If you have been following that, great channel all about what's going on in Ukraine and about modern equipment. If you want to get the top info on the equipment that's actually being used, then that's the channel to go through. And of course, Nick actually has appeared on the channel as well, giving an explanation of some of the material that's being used. Or VK3002M, Panther prototype, dials in, perfect shot, low roll though, 252. Actually, it's a high roll. What am I saying? 240 alpha. I keep getting these things wrong. I keep thinking it's a 320 alpha, but it's actually 240. Oh, and the VK is looking around. Is the Sixth Sense going off? That's the kill. So 3 kills now. Still a lot of enemies out there. 10 enemies out there. Young Panther comes into view and he gets a high roll for 254. And a kill. So that's 4 kills now. He's racking them up. C-150. long range. Fortunately, the dispersion of the Hellcat comes into play when you're firing over long range. It's a 16-litre 9-cylinder engine that drives the Hellcat. Why the odd number of cylinders? Well, it's a radial engine. It's an aircraft engine. It's the Wright Continental R975. So they're all actually in a circle. And that's another reason why you need to have the engine, so it can slide out of the engine bay and be serviced. Because, of course, the spark plugs are all the way around the vehicle. All around the outside of the engine bay. Okay, now SMBCC 56, I think it is. And he takes him round in the rear where, of course, he's most vulnerable. You get another shot in. Tries blind one. That one didn't hit. It actually went long. Okay, we're only 2 down on the enemy at the moment. Of course, the chief worry is that they do have some very nice tank destroyers, but they also have a couple of heavy tanks. Both are ahead of us though. There's one enemy tank behind us as far as we know, and there's the SMVCC 56 moving straight across in front of us, which I don't think he really wanted to do. Oh, lovely shot into the engine bay, and that's 20% of the enemy hit pool, so that might be a high caliber. Now, it'll be difficult to get a penetration from this angle because, of course, the frontal armour is quite strong. Yeah, didn't pen. He's using standard AP now, you see. That's where you get the difficulty. Plus, of course, he's only got 11 rounds left. So he's burned up more than half of his ammo. It really would be very difficult to get the pen, but luckily, our teammate in the E25 did get the pen there and kill the SMVCC 56, but the enemy Arty is still firing rounds in. We're 1 up on the enemy now. And the 5916 is in the gully in the center. Okay, so our light tank is actually making a move up the east side. It's a Type 64. He's going to have a quick look. Basically, a Type 64 is really just a Hellcat in disguise, although it's using a duster hull rather than the M18 hull. And the 5916's just popped up into view. Oh, 1 shot is more than enough to kill him. That's 5 kills, but we were spotted. So I think we're going to have to move out of this spot. Otherwise, the enemy RT might have had a go at us. Unfortunately, the enemy E25 killed our Type 64, so it'll be difficult to go up the east side of the map at the moment. Much better to actually just go to these firing positions here and see if we can pick the enemy off one by one as they get close. That's a 1-shot, that ARL. We've only got 9 rounds left, but we've got more than enough pen to kill the ARL. Unfortunately, it's our E25 that does it instead, but then again, I suppose it's fortunate that we've only got 3 enemies left to kill. And there's one of them. It's the enemy M44, and he did get close, didn't he, before he got spotted. We've only got 1 minute left. Pushing out. There's the Hellcat. Oh, it hit the gun. That's the only spot on the Hellcat which would have stopped that shell. It hit the gun, but that one went through, and that's the Top Gun. There's only 1 enemy left, so we can't get a Radleys. But I think we can at the very least, get a a 7th kill if we can find the last enemy, which is an E25, the same guy who killed our Type 64, somewhere up ahead of us. He might get the first shot in on us, but since Ohforfoxache has still got full health, oh, we're running out of time. 2 seconds, 1 second, and the clock's run out, and we didn't get the last one. Here's the end of battle stats, and that was an ace tanker game for Ohforfoxache in the M18 Hellcat. He managed to get a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. In fact, he got 6 in that one, as well as a fire for effect for doing more damage than hit points to his own vehicle. He did get a high caliber for getting at least 20% of the enemy hit pool and the highest damage in the game, and he got a top gun as well for getting at least 6 kills. Couldn't get that last one to get them the win or to pick up his 7th kill, but it was a good try. Let's have a look at team score. Well, definitely got the highest damage with 3,058 hit points. The second highest damage was the E25 on his team, 1,914. And the third highest damage went to the SMVCC56 on the enemy team with 1,518 hit points. When it came to kills, yep, he got the highest number of those with 6. 4 kills went to the E25, 2 kills went to the M44 and the AR-44 on the enemy team. And when it came to base XP, yep, he's the E25 who got the highest in that one, 839, 783, a very close second for Ohforfoxache, and the third highest was the King Tiger on the enemy team with only 439. Now, he fired 23 shots in that game, got 19 direct hits on the enemy and 16 penetrations. 3,058 hit points in total, of which 2,553 were at more than 300 meters. So those were all the long-range shots, majority of them. He also spotted 1 enemy vehicle, damaged 9 of the enemy, killed 6, and did 558 hit points of damage assistance. He earned 26,005 credits from the game, 2,801 for the Achievements Award. That's because he got an Epic or Battle Hero medal. In fact, he got 2 Battle Heroes in a losing or drawn game. It was a draw. 47,530 credits altogether, but he did fire a lot of premium ammo in that game, a lot of APCR. Half his ammo was APCR, and that meant that he ended up with a loss of 20,510 credits altogether. I think it is easier and better with the Hellcat sometimes to carry a couple of rounds of HE, but the majority of armor piercing, because even though it's nice to have the APCR to actually get the pens, most of the time you can pen with standard ammo, and so that's where you make a profit if you use mostly standard ammo. But the other way of doing it, of course, is to actually have the better DPM of the 76mm gun. It just means you have to get more hits on target, but the 76mm gives you much more ammo to play with, and then you won't run out of ammo at all. 783 XP, 456 for the Achievements Award here, 279 for playing in the platoon, took away 2,138 experience points altogether. He says, Hell Kitty, yes, they are Hell Kitties, Hellcats. An ace and 6 kills, very nice indeed. It's a shame that it turned out to be a draw in the end, but there was not a lot they could do. The enemy kind of stalled. They didn't push forward after a while because they were having difficulty trying to get through our defences, and that's because our tank destroyers were playing rather well. But in the end, they just ran out of time. They couldn't find that E25, and it is very unlikely they were going to find him. I suspect that he was over on the far east side of the map, waiting for anybody to come down that channel to pick them off, and he did pick off a Type 64 that went up there. It wouldn't have been a good idea for Ohforfoxache to try and go down the same channel. He would have got picked off as well, and in the end actually just ran out of time. So if you enjoyed that replay, before we actually do that, let's have a quick look at the armor. Yeah, you can see the armor on this thing is so thin. It really is. This is the thickest armor. That must have been where he actually fired the shot. The turret was actually turned to one side at the time. So get it right. Like that. Or was it? No, like that. He actually hit the mantlets. If I get it. That's it. That's probably more what it looked like. And he actually hit the mantlets on the vehicle as it was looking to one side to our teammates. Or at least I think it was like that, because I think the vehicle was a bit like that at the time. And he aimed the shell and it went in there. So unfortunately, yes, you're not going to get through that armor. It's just way too tough, even if you hit the actual barrel itself. The hull, though, you could easily penetrate the hull, no trouble at all. 12.7 millimeters. The turret sides of the turrets are 31 millimeters. Yes, you can pen those, but it was virtually impossible for him to get a penetration on the spot that he actually hit. Let's have a quick look at the live. Yeah, anything will penetrate really that armor. The only thing you couldn't penetrate is the mantlet. Well, in the spots where he hit it. And let's have a quick look at the modules. We can see the engine is at the back. It's that big rotary thing, which is actually kind of like a dome there, but it is a big rotary engine which you can disconnect and slide out. This is the transmission, runs up to the front drive wheels. As I said, all-round torsion bar suspension, which actually makes it much more flexible in terms of the evening out the movements, the vibrations. The transmission being up front. You've got the driver on the right hand side, the gunner stroke radio operator on the left hand side. The gunner for the main gun is on the left hand side. He's got the tank commander directly behind him and the loader on the other side. We've got the shells in the bustle in the back of this thing. Actually helps to counterbalance the gun, although the gun will stay up even if there's no shells in the counterbalance at all, because they did balance it to some extent. And of course we've got more shells down below in the actual shoulders of the tank, so you just aim for directly underneath the turret and you might connect with the ammo rack by doing that. Fuel tanks either side of the right continental rotary engine. So thank you to Ohforfoxache for his replay. It was good battle actually. He didn't lose any hit points at all during the entire game. Not one, but then he really, and he was spotted a few times, but the enemy weren't firing at him because they couldn't get easy shots. He was being very difficult for them to hit. So yes, pity that it ended up with a draw, but these things happen. If you enjoyed that replay, please give this video a like, do subscribe to our channel, leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm, and thank you for watching.